Hey folks, it's Lucid, and I'm going to go through an announcement kind of. Um, some folks and I were sitting around kind of talking on Discord, and there's been kind of a long-running discussion, like, could there be a leaderboard or some kind of, like, ELO or player rating? And this has been going around for forever, and basically, you can't do it. It's too hard. You have problems, like, it's a free-for-all game, right? So only one person wins. That means it takes a really long time to accumulate any points, because you've got to play a ton of games and then eventually you win one and then you finally get some ELO points. Furthermore, you can be like, okay, well, let's fix that by giving points to everybody based on how well they do at the end of the game. But that introduces a whole ton of problems with like people bartering for second and like saying, hey, I'll support you in your win if you let me get in a position to get second. And you basically change significant parts of the game, for better or for worse. So, that's a thing. And then furthermore, there's just not really enough games to get a proper ELO score. However, problems persist. And that basically right now, if you want to look at like games that are hosted on different servers, there's basically new player games and then intermediate games, or sometimes like intermediate plus. And then every like rare once in a while, you'll have like a vet game, like a veteran player game, and those will often be like invite only, so you're probably not even really aware of them. So the problem though is that in intermediate games, there's usually an enormous breadth of skill. Like a huge amount. Like you can have somebody who just happened to win their first new player game and, somebody who's played like 100 games. And, the problem with that is that if you're next to one of them, you can identify who these players are. You can usually just kind of roll over and stomp them, and then you get free land, and other people in the game have to like fight tooth and nail for theirs. So, it kind of sucks. Makes games like more like snowbally, less balanced. The question is, what can we do about this? And I think like new player and intermediate's fine. I think what we really need is like another category above intermediate. And we were thinking about like how you could do it. Like we don't want to have to do math. Like, oh, you have to have played this many games. Like you get into some kind of very arbitrary definition. But I think when we really got thinking about it, we came up with like a very simple definition. And basically, new player, haven't won any multiplayer games yet. Intermediate, you have won a new player game, but you haven't won an intermediate game yet. And then advanced means you have won an intermediate game. Now, winning an intermediate game is pretty tough because you're playing in a game full of people who have all won games. So it's kind of like the tournament qualifiers in that respect. So that's actually pretty tough winning that. Now, there are certainly, some people would say there's a pretty low bar for advanced. And I would say sure. But if you have won an intermediate game, like if we have a game made up of people who have all won intermediate games, I think that's going to be a fantastic game. So that, I think that would be I think there's a few things kind of cool about a system like this. One is it would be fun to actually progress, to try to level up, to get where you can get to, be in the advanced category. Because playing in an advanced game should be an amazing experience. Like, it's going to be, like, some really cool stuff. Some pretty high-level play. You'll learn a lot. I feel like the meta will evolve more the more advanced games we have. Because right now, like I said, we don't really have them very much. Like, mostly it's just intermediate, which means you get this big skill mix, which means for like more snowbally games and things like that. So I think having like advanced games is going to be really cool. I think it's a cool thing to kind of like work towards as a player, like try to actually get where you can win an intermediate game so that you can participate in an advanced game. So that's kind of the thing. That's basically what this announcement is like, hey, we're going to start, it's my server. Any of the servers are free to do this, of course. I've sent messages to some of the server owners. Like, I think Immersion might start doing it. I think GamesHub might start doing it. Might be cool if y'all start doing it on, like, Clockwork and Nexus and other servers, too. Basically, anyone's free to do it however they want. We have it set up here. So if you want to do it, you can come in my Discord. But any of the other Discords which are doing it, And you come down here and you go to the reaction roles section where we have basically a carbon copy of this note. And you just click which one of these things you are. So you can see I clicked it. I got 2 messages from reaction roles, which are telling me, hey, you know, you got this. You marked yourself off and then you marked yourself on. So it will toggle you on and off for these roles. So that's kind of cool. That's basically how this works. And then once you do it, it's going to give you a like a tag, advanced player, and that's how it is. So, you know, if somebody wins an intermediate game, you should go ahead and flag them to go ahead and upgrade their score to being advanced. You know, ultimately, though, this isn't like for any of our servers, it's not going to be like hosts have to use this. But I think it's something that kind of some of the server owners and I have talked about, and we think it would be good for the community if people adopt it mostly in aggregate. You know, like obviously people can still do what they want, but if it's like too much of a niche thing, then it, you know, it doesn't really exist. So, you know, if half of the community starts doing this with all the games they're hosting, it would be kind of cool. And hopefully it would make for more balanced intermediate games where you don't have advanced players in them. It's people who've just won a new player game but haven't won an intermediate. And then you'd have much better advanced games because you don't have people who've only won, the only game they've won was a new player game. You have everybody that at least knows how to win in a game with other people who've won games. So I think basically the long and the short of it is if we can get this working, if you know, whatever server you're playing on adopts this standard, we should have better intermediate and advanced games by not mixing them. And I'll just show you. We have a lot of people who've registered already on my server, like 200, over 200. And it's a pretty good breakdown. So there's about twice as many new players as there are intermediate and advanced. But you can see, and this was really important, we don't want the advanced threshold to be too high. Like this is not meant to be like super vet, like super veteran. There's a lot of advanced players with this category. So that's good. Because the whole point of this system isn't supposed to say, like, who's the best player. It's supposed to have it where we can have, like, really good games. And I think that's basically what we'll get, because we have a lot of people who are in the advanced category and a lot of people who are in the intermediate category. So because we have, like, such a big breakdown of people in these different categories, it should be reasonably easy to host games like this. Anyway, that's it for now. Pretty quick video. If you're whatever server you're on, you can suggest they do something like this. They don't have to do it with the roles. Like you can just set this as a criteria all by yourself. But it's a lot easier to do if everybody kind of knows, like has the same lexicon or the same language for describing these different terms. So that's kind of the nice thing about doing it, not just as a host, but as a whole server. But yeah, you know, you can host your games with this same definition, and yeah. Let me know what y'all think about it. Let me know if it makes any of your games better. Until then, take care, folks. See ya.